Hey everyone, welcome back to the latest GoSkills Excel Challenge solution. How close did you get to solving it? Well, we've got Microsoft trainer Deborah Ashby ready to share her solution. Check it out right now.
Welcome back, everyone. Here is the solution to this month's Excel challenge. The first thing I asked you to do in this challenge was to work out the number of employees that we have in this list. And this is a fairly simple calculation. We're going to click in cell K2 and we're simply going to use count A in order to count all of the values in this list. Control Shift down arrow to select them all, close the bracket and hit enter, and we can see here that we have 50 employees. Now, this piece of information is quite useful when it comes to adding in or completing the employee ID in column A. Now, if you recall, I asked you to complete the employee ID in a very specific format. We wanted EMP dash and then a number. And that number is a 4-character number starting at 2000. So what we could do here, or this is the way that I like to do this, is we can start out by typing equals, and then we can put in quote marks the text that we want on the front, which is EMP dash. Then we can press the ampersand, which means to join, because we want to join it with the sequence function. And sequence will generate numbers based on the conditions specified in the arguments. Now, the first argument here is rows, and this is where that count comes in really handy, because I know that I've got 50 employees, so I know that I want to fill down 50 rows. We're just completing one column of data. Our starting number is 2000, and we want to go up by 1 each time. Close the bracket, hit enter, and check it out. We have exactly what we're looking for. I then asked you to throw away the underlying formulas so that we just have the values and the formula underneath has been removed. So again, that's a very simple case of using paste values. So we're going to Control Shift down arrow to select everything, Control C to copy, and then on the home ribbon, we're simply going to paste the values over the top, which means we no longer have any underlying formulas. The next part of this exercise was to complete column C, the department. And I asked you just to simply randomly assign one of these 4 departments that you can see in column J to each of these employees. And we didn't need to worry about them being even or anything like that. Now, the way that I would do this is to use a combination of rand between and choose. So if we take a look at rand between first of all, if you've never used this function before, what rand between does is it generates a random number between 2 numbers that we specify. So what I could do here is I could specify that the bottom number is 1 and the top number is 4. And that's because we have 4 departments in the list. So what this will effectively do is if I were to copy this down, it's randomly going to assign a number between 1 and 4 to each of these employees. Now, this is fine. It can be useful on its own, but in this scenario, we want to actually assign meaning to these values. And that's where the choose function comes in. So let's jump up to the formula bar to edit this because we can add choose on the front. And the first argument of choose is an index number. Now, the index number is being generated by rand between. We're going to have a number of 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the cell. But the next arguments are where we can assign value to those numbers. So what I can say here is that if there is a number 1, which corresponds to value 1, in the cell, I want it to output marketing. And we're going to press F4 to lock that. If it finds a number 2, I want it to output HR. If it finds a number 3, we're going to output sales. And if it finds a number 4, we're going to output finance. Close the bracket, hit enter, and now I can double click to copy those down, and we've randomly assigned departments to each employee. Now, once again, because rand between is one of those volatile functions that changes when you refresh the page or do something else on the page, we're just going to do our same little trick, Control C to copy, and we're going to paste the values right over the top. The next thing I asked you to do was to assign a job role to each of these employees, but it has to be in the context of the department that they've been assigned. So what I mean by that is if they're in the HR department, we want to assign them the HR admin job role as opposed to the sales agent or the accountant. And you can see those job roles listed out in column L. So for this, I would use nested ifs or if-s, whichever method you prefer. So I'm going to use nested ifs. So we're going to say if. So our logical test is if the department is equal to, and you could type in HR in quote marks, I'm going to select the cell that contains the word HR and make sure that I lock it. If that is true, I want it to return HR admin. Let's lock the cell. I'm then going to go straight into my next if statement. If the department is equal to marketing, and let's press F4, then we want to output marketing assistant. And I'm going to carry on going with this for the rest of these. So if the department is equal to sales, then we're going to output sales agent. And then finally, if the department is equal to finance, then we're going to output accountant. And then for anything else, we're just going to have a blank. So we now need to close off all 4 of our if statements, hit enter, and then when we copy this down, we should find we have exactly what we're looking for. So let's just do a quick visual check. HR, I've got HR admin. Sales, I've got sales agent. Marketing is marketing assistant. Finance is accountant. So everything looks like it's worked perfectly. And of course, once again, you can go in, Control-Shift down arrow, and you can throw away these underlying formulas if you want to. The final thing I asked you to do here was to generate a random salary for each of these employees that's between 30,000 and 70,000, but I wanted you to make sure that these were rounded to the 1,000 multiple. Now, we've already seen the function that we need here. We're going to go for rand between again. Our bottom number is going to be 30,000 and our top number is going to be 70,000. Now, if I was just to do this, it's going to give me a number that's really random between those two numbers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the mRound formula onto the front, and I'm going to specify that I want to round to the 1,000 multiplier. And you could have used this function, you might have used another rounding function, but effectively what I was trying to achieve was this: numbers that are rounded nicely and more relevant for staff salaries. So let's apply some comma formatting. I'm going to take the decimal places down. The final thing to do is Control-C and then just paste those values. Tell us what you think about our solution to this challenge by commenting below or joining the conversation on our Slack channel. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.
So there it is. Did you get the same results? Did you use the same approach? Or did you try something different? We'd like to know. Share your take on the challenge in the comments below or join us for more discussion in our Slack channel. Link in the description. Thanks for participating, and make sure to subscribe to this channel to get an alert when the next challenge is released. We'll see you then.